Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this Ag Forecast for South America brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Just wanted to front load this video with kind of a bigger picture these next couple of weeks. All right, some of the things we're going to be watching, we still have a strong front that's going to give us quite a bit of chances for more heavy rain in parts of northern Argentina, getting into Uruguay, southern Brazil. So this area right in through here, adding a lot of rain. And that, of course, is our area that was most hard hit by the drought back in December, January, and part of February. We still see the drier conditions in Brazil's eastern growing areas, but again, this was an area that was overly wet throughout much of the year. But we've now gone on to an extended time period here where even when we add what we're expecting out through this kind of the equinox here in March, this area is going to continue to stay dry. But in Mato Grosso, this would be our key growing area for both our full season soybeans, which are almost done being harvested, and the safrinha crop of corn that went in, which is almost done being planted. We see normal rains returning there. So I'm going to have to come back to it again and say that overall, this is a relatively favorable forecast through the third week or into the third week of March. What we're going to watch is drier conditions coming back into parts of Argentina. So we're going to take a look at the history. We're going to take a look at the long-range data and talk about what could impact this safrinha crop. So let's do that. First, let's go back to one of my favorite sites, again, worldagweather.com, and I'm going to take you over here to the last 60 days. We're going to work our way north to south. Mato Grosso, still no problems here, okay? Even though we have a deficit, what I need you to understand is that the path, the curve, the slope of that line matches average. So we just had this drier time period back in January, and we've talked about that quite a bit. Let's go east of there over to Goiás. Once again, we're doing fine in the eastern regions. Now, this is the area that's gone over dry as of late. It's going to be drier in the next 10 to 10 plus days. But overall, I don't see this as being a major problem overall. Let's go south from there to Rio Grande do Sul. That is our main drought area that we're still continuing to see problems in. There's been some big storms that have tried to roll through, but we're trying to make up a pretty sizable deficit over the last 60 days or so. And down to Paraná, we have had better rains in Paraná. That's sitting up there just south of Mato Grosso do Sul as of late. See how this has come back up and the slope matches this area, but look at this time period in February where we just went just almost flat on precipitation. So that's another time period where we posed risk to that crop. Into Argentina, we're going to look first at Cordoba. And again, some heavy rains lately coming through, bringing us back closer to normal. But the heaviest rains have been up towards Santa Fe, which is on the Paraná River, where these big rainfall events have now brought us right back up to the climatological average. So remember, we came out of significant drought into heavy rainfall in this area. And I was looking at some satellite data today. Just take a look at this. This is this afternoon infrared satellite data. Got some big storms that rolled through this part of Argentina. Now remember, Cordoba's about here, Buenos Aires is there, Santa Fe is here. So these storms are pretty far to the north and northwest, but some bigger storms putting out some heavy rain in this area. That's our region that's been drier, more normal convection over Mato Grosso. So that's kind of just playing out nicely. Now, I do want to bring you up to speed on the harvest progress and the planting progress. We're going to go over here to IMEA. Soybeans first. We're going to come down to their harvest report. This is the one that was released on Friday. Let's just go take a quick look at it here. And what we're going to see is, there we are. We're at 90% harvested on soybeans. A year ago, we were just trying to approach 70% at this time. Okay, that would have been the slowest in the last 5 years. Let's do the same thing now for corn. Let's go back here. This second column is corn. Come down here to the planting pace. And so the safrinha corn in Mato Grosso, 94% planted. We were 20% below that a year ago. So that gets us up to speed on those two numbers. Okay, when we look out here, let's go here first. Sorry. If we look out here over the next 7 days, we've seen this, right? There's our storms on the fronts. We're drier to the east, better rains into Mato Grosso. I'd like to show you the timing of this because you're going to see some drier air finally advance back into this area at the end of this time period. So if we look here, let's blow this up. There we are. This is through Monday night into Tuesday. You're going to see here's the low, and there's the front that stalled. Here comes our next low pressure system here. They're all moving in this direction. So this would be getting into Tuesday. And then the tail end of one front right there, putting down some more storms in the afternoon. Okay. Now as we go forward, here's our second system. See the front here? Brings in the heavy rain into that region again. Meanwhile, look north, drier in that area. Okay, how does it transition? Well, once we get to the end of this week, That frontal boundary sweeps through, drier conditions move into Argentina. We're going to start to fill in the gaps to the north. So this is Friday, going into Saturday, into Sunday, and now what you see is we're drier south of that line, better storms and precipitation north. And this goes into early next week now. It looks like there's going to be an extended time period in Argentina after this rain comes through of above average temperatures. Now remember, we're moving toward fall here. So this isn't the most extreme temperature time of the year, but we're going to watch that carefully. So we look out there only at week 2 and come back to an anomaly map. See where the front's advanced? It's now come over here to Goiás. This is Minas Gerais. This is Minas Gerais. This is Sao Paulo and into Bahia. Better rains there. Near normal for Mato Grosso, but now we see the drier signals farther to the south. And the question I got to ask is there any risk of drought developing here as we go forward on this safrinha crop, which is now fully in the ground? What about how the season tries to finish up for southern Brazil into Argentina? So we've got some new data to discuss. So much of this is going to be predicated on the MJO. Now, if the MJO, as forecast, tries to stay here, and I think there's a case to be made for it to come out in phase 5, that poses a drier risk north. And that could hit the safrinha crop in Mato Grosso. If the MJO, in fact, comes out, collapses, and then shows up over into phase 7 or phase 8, all those bets are off. This is a much wetter signal for northern growing areas. What we see in the models is, well, not much to go off of. Let me just point this out. If we see MJO phase 5, this is going to be getting drier than what you see. As it stands, for Mato Grosso, slight dry bias, but still plenty of precipitation. Wetter in southern Brazil, wetter in Paraguay, but we see drier risks in Argentina. That's March 15 to April 15. So I hate to do this once again, but we've seen a lot of change. In fact, go back one model run. That's the same forecast time period. Here's the old model run. There's the new. Look at how much it's changed just in the midsection here of Brazil, or southern Brazil. Newest run, much wetter. See, I think what's going on is the models are struggling to resolve the tropical forcing. But the long-range forecast is still very much hung up on the fact that our La Nina is hanging around. And what we see here is that the April, May, June forecast means that some of this safrinha crop grown south here could finish under drier conditions. And we go right back over to seeing drought conditions redeveloping southern Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Argentina in the long-range model. All of this is built on what's going on with La Nina, which stretches in through this area. And the models still have that La Nina hanging around. That's why you see this. I think right now that there is very low predictability moving forward with Brazil. But I'll come back to the statement I made at the beginning. The next 15 days is not producing stress on the crop. It could be after this, getting fully into the end of March and April, that we got to be on the lookout for some shifts around in the MJO that could possibly return drier conditions north. So we're going to have to just keep kind of a vigilant watch on this to see how things shape up. I'll wrap it up there. Thank you for your attention, and I'll talk to you again on Thursday. Thanks.